Upstairs, downstairs, part 1, production number 1603, recorded the 3rd of August, 1973, take 1.
What's that for, Rose? Who's got the gripe?
If you must know, it's for Mr. Bellamy.
Oh, don't tell Mrs. Bridges.
Don't tell me what. What are you coming in for, my girl? Come on, what is it?
Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Bridges. It's just Rose. She's got some medicine for Mr. Bellamy. It's after your special French cuisinery tonight.
Oh, I only did it to cheer him up. And it's not my cooking that's upset him. It's all his worries and upheavals.
Well, he must be getting over that by now, surely.
Be quiet, Edward. What do you know about suffering?
Nothing, Mrs. Bridges.
You sure you wouldn't like to see a doctor, sir?
Oh, no, it's nothing, really. Thank you, Rose. Rose.
Yes, sir?
I've been meaning to say for some time, thank you for your support and loyalty over these past months. It's easy to forget or take for granted people, to assume quite wrongly that only oneself is affected, that other people close don't feel just as deeply.
We all still miss her very much, sir.
Yes.
Here we are, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, thank you, Edward.
Oh, Mr. Hudson, I've been reading about health today. It said it all depended on pure air.
That's right, it does, Edward. One's very life depends on the blood gaining fresh oxygen and getting rid of stale carbonic acid unceasingly.
Yeah.
Rose, aren't you coming to have your cocoa? It'll be cold.
No thanks, Mrs. Bridges. I don't feel like any tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yes, here it is. It says that the dust in the air and the smells from drains give rise to pestilential disorders.
That is also correct, Edward.
Yeah.
What's the matter with that girl?
Who, Rose? Oh, I think she just feels sad.
What? Well, she'd have to take herself in hand, wouldn't she?
I mean, what chance have we got stuck down here in the kitchen all day? There's not much pure air down here, Mr. Hudson.
Don't scream. Rose, please don't scream. It's only me, Alfred. You remember me? I used to be footman here a few years ago. Footman, remember? Alfred. I wouldn't hurt you. You me. I wouldn't hurt a fly.
I'll go and get Mr. Hudson.
Don't get her. She's still here. I thought he would have gone by now. No, don't tell him, not him. I need help.
What sort of help?
I can't tell you, Auntie. Come, go inside. I'm freezing.
But they're all in there.
When they've gone to bed.
What were you doing outside, Rose?
Oh, I thought I heard something, Mr. Hudson.
What did you hear?
Noise. Cat. Nothing.
Oh, you want to be careful, my girl, poking your nose out at this time of night. There's a lot of ruffians and scoundrels in the streets. Better call me in future.
Yes, I will, Mr. Hudson.
Well, I'm off to bed, Mr. Hudson. Good night.
Good night, Mrs. Bridges.
Good night, Rose.
Night, Mrs. Bridges.
Good night, all.
Oh, yes, yes.
All right, Mrs. Bridges.
You're not going to your bedrooms?
Oh, I've got to finish that first, Mr. Hudson.
Oh, don't be too long about it. You've been looking a wee bit tired lately. See that all the windows and doors are well snagged and put the lights out after you. Good night, Rose.
No, Mr. Hudson. Be daft doing this. Go on, get in there and keep quiet. Oh, soaking wet. Get by the fire and take your things off. Go on. Don't stand staring, you'll get pneumonia. I'll get you a blanket.
Will you be requiring anything else, sir?
No, thank you, Hudson.
And the colic?
No, that's gone, quite gone. Mrs. Bridges' partridges were quite delicious, but just a little rich for my stomach at the moment.
Yes, I thought they might be, sir. I should have mentioned...
Oh, no, it was a kind thought. Does she know?
I'm not sure, sir.
Well, best not to tell her.
Might I just have a word with you, sir? It's about my wages. You may recall that the female servants received an increase in wages last year, sir. And I think that you and her ladyship intended to make a small increment to my own wages and to Edward's this year. In view of the circumstances, I haven't liked to ask.
Yes, Hudson, I do understand. But since Captain James and Mrs. Bellamy have taken over the running of the house now, I think you must make your request to them when they return from their honeymoon.
Oh, yes, of course, sir.
But I must warn you, they may well feel the need to economize in view of the rising costs.
Yes, I see, sir. I'm sorry to have raised the matter.
No, Hudson, you're quite within your rights.
I understand the position. Thank you. Good night, sir.
Good night, Hudson.
Titanic.
Didn't you read about it in the papers?
Oh. Not that she was on it. It was Captain James.
Oh, married just last month. He's going to live here in the house. Of course, he's on honeymoon at the moment. In Paris.
Miss Elizabeth.
She lives in New York now. Married?
Why didn't you go with her?
Wasn't asked.
A lot of changes then.
Yeah, but not everything changes.
Mr. Hudson. Mrs. Bridges. Rose.
What about you? What you been doing all these years, eh?
I went to Germany. As valet to Baron von Rimmer. You remember?
I remember.
It's not a bad life, really. Schloss in the mountains. Beautiful scenery.
How did you get on? You can't speak German.
I learnt it. Quick ear for language. Well, it's enough to get by on. Would have stayed only.
Only what?
The Baron got married. He did, Rose. To a beautiful princess. Ugly cow. Didn't like me. Stinking. The princess made some changes in the household. Got rid of me, didn't she? I wasn't required. Like you and Miss Elizabeth. Of course, the Baron was sorry to see me go. But she got him. But it was all very friendly. Very civil, polite, very cordial. Fare paid home. position arranged with a gentleman, friend of the Baron.
English?
Lithuanian.
No, don't, Alfred. Don't cry. It's all right.
Oh, it's my nerves.
It's all right.
You won't give me away, will you?
Of course I won't give you away.
It's
Why
not a
should
crime,
I?
is it?
Well, it's not a crime.
Falling in love.
Falling in love? You? Who with?
Should have been you, Rose.
Don't be daft.
Should have been. I would have been happy with you, I know it.
Alfred? Was it a man?
I saw that now. It was religious mania or something. You know, it's girls for now, Rose. Girls. Their lithe bodies and silken hair.
Yeah, well, never mind all that. Who was it with?
The niece,
Niece? Oh, the Lithuanian's niece.
Arabella, came to stay from Herefordshire. Vision of loveliness. It's mutual. Of course, we had to keep it a secret from him, didn't we? From the crusty old bachelor. Used to write poetry for each other. Leave it in flower vases. What's the matter, Rose? You mocking me?
Of course I'm not, Alfred. Go on telling.
You found out, didn't you? Found one of the letters.
In the flower vase.
Of course. Where else?
Sorry.
It was a hobby of his. Flower arranging. He took it up after his wife died.
Thought you said he was a bachelor.
He was. After she died.
No, he wasn't. He was a widower.
Hadn't got a woman, that's what I meant, clever. What's the matter, don't you believe me, Rose?
Oh, I do want to, Alfred.
I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you, doubting Thomas. She gave me this, and I swore it'd never leave my neck till the day I died.
Oh, yes, it's lovely. Put it back on. That's bad luck.
Haven't got a thread.
Oh, give it here. Come on. Yeah. What happened next? After he'd found the poetry in the flower vase.
He turned me out. Sent her back to Herefordshire.
When was that?
He's jealous. Jealous, you see. Jealous of her. Promises made to her mother. Something. Make a good marriage. Not me. Not the valet. I wasn't good enough. I was dirt, vile, filth, putrid, putrefying, excrement.
When did this happen?
2 days. 2 days ago.
2 days ago, and you've been wandering about in this weather ever since. Do you have no friends to go to?
Had friends, but they were employed by his friends, weren't they? I was exiled, banished off for the love of that girl. I was desperate, didn't notice the cold. Wandering around, trying to think what to do. I thought of you, Rose.
Me? Why me?
Friendly face, spanning the years. Angel of mercy.
Yeah. What am I going to do with you now, eh?
Isn't there somewhere? Back room, something, just tonight. Night's rest for the weary traveller.
Well, there's a small storeroom where the coal hole is. Old couch in there.
Sounds cosy.
All right, then. Come on. Fetch your togs with you. want?
Rose, I've got an awful bellyache, Rose. You've got any of that medicine? Mrs. Bridges must have poisoned me.
It's in there.
Here, don't push. What's going on, Rose? Hey, you've got someone down here, haven't you? You're a sly one, Rose. Who is he? A cavalry officer, eh?
Yes, that's right. Swallow. Here, have you still got that old coat of yours, the grey one, what you had before Mr. Hudson went to Summerby and you got given a new one?
Yeah, it's in the cupboard in the hall.
Oh, can I have it? Only an old tramp came round this morning, freezing.
He's here now, isn't he? Go on, I won't say nothing to Mr. Hudson.
it.
Where is he? What, now?
Yes, now.
Rose, that's my coat.
Go and get it. If you're still feeling so sick, why don't you get back to bed?
Night, Rose.
Alfred? You wretch. You scared me.
Just testing how well hidden I could be.
Oh. Mine. You've got to be gone first thing in the morning.
Oh, Rose. I promise.
Oh, I did have some terrible bellyaches last night, Ruby. Did you?
No.
Well, why was it just me, then? That's not fair.
You and Mr. Bellamy.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Morning, Rose.
Morning, Edward.
Sweet dreams, eh?
Yes, thank you, Edward.
Good. All about cavalry officers and everything?
Why should you dream of cavalry officers?
Rose knows, don't you, Rose?
Yes, ain't you, Rose?
That girl worries me. It's time somebody had a talk with her.
Rose, what do you want with that? Can you not wait for your breakfast?
Oh, that? No, it's not for me, Mr. Hudson. It's for Pigeon.
Pigeon?
I've been feeding it. I think it's hurt its wings.
It's not inside the house, I hope.
Oh, no. It's out the back on a window ledge. In a box.
A box?
Hat box.
But that's fresh bread you're feeding it on. That's very extravagant. These are difficult times. Here, give that to me.
Oh, Mr. Hudson.
Take this.
Oh, it's a bit moody.
Away you go now. You're far too sentimental, Rose. That's quite good enough for a pigeon. There are human beings in need of this.
Alfred.
Keep away from me. Keep away from me, you bastards. I'll smash you, I'll smash you.
Hey, Rose, it's me.
Rose.
Do you think Rose is under the weather, Mr. Hudson? Mrs. Bridges thinks she is.
We're none of us in the best of spirits, except possibly you, Edward. Events have weighed heavily on us for some time now.
They weigh heavily on me as well, Mr. Hudson.
Yes, well, hurry up and take that tray to the master. Look sharp now.
Mr. Hudson, I think you ought to have a word to Rose. I would do it myself, but sometimes these things come better from a man. There's something troubling her, I'm sure of it.
He's trying to kill me.
It's Mr. Hudson. I had to say you was a pigeon.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Listen, you get your clothes on fast and I'll see if the coast is clear.
Oh, so this is where you keep your pigeon rolls. I thought you told me that you were... Who is this?
It's Alfred, Mr. Hudson. You remember Alfred? He used to work as footman there.
Alfred?
Yes, Miss Hudson, you remember me.
What the dickens are you doing here?
He just dropped in last night. Please don't be angry. He's lost his job, had no place to go.
He stayed here all night?
I said he could. He was soaking wet.
Don't blame Rose.
You hold your tongue. You have done wrong, Rose. You should never have let a stranger in here late at night.
Oh, but you see, he isn't a stranger. He's one of us, or used to be.
I
That's
know what he
why.
used to be, Rose. And I know my duty.
Oh, please don't tell Mr. Bellamy, Mr. Hudson. Don't give him away. Please.
My dear fellow,
Glass of Madeira?
might it be a glass of milk? I've been having a bit of bother.
Certainly, Hudson. Geoffrey,
Thank you.
thought I'd move myself in here now, make a bit more room for James and Hazel.
Yes, I see. I take it this is not altogether a social visit.
Not altogether, no.
It's on my mind.
Money's on my mind, quite simply. I've been doing my sums, and I find that although James has taken over the bulk of the running costs of this house, I can't make ends meet. My parliamentary salary is £400 a year because that goes nowhere. I have to contribute my share. Cost of clothing is up, club subscriptions, cab fares, everything. I'm overdrawn at the bank, and I need your advice.
On how to increase your personal income.
Yes, that is the immediate concern. We'd always agreed the children would inherit from their mother, of course, but that was assuming that I would be old when Marjorie died, or dead myself. We never envisaged.
Right. Thank you.
My only tangible asset is the lease of this house, but of course that brings in no money at all.
Quite. Is this goat's milk?
I don't think so.
Well, what about your writing? You had a considerable success.
Biographies of dead politicians, there's no money in that, and you know it. I shall continue writing because I enjoy it. There's no solution to my problem. Unless I turn to hack political journalism. You're not suggesting that, are you?
No. I quite appreciate your distaste for that sort of thing. But there are some reasonable outlets, and in your position...
You are saying beggars can't be choosers. Quite frankly, if I may speak frankly...
Oh, please do.
I'm in this position largely through your handling of Marjorie's affairs.
I don't quite follow.
Well, I'm not blaming you necessarily. None of us could have foreseen what would happen. But you must admit I've been left in a devilish mess by her death.
Financially speaking.
In all ways, damn it. Particularly financially. I am asking you to retrieve something for me. But I get the impression that you're sitting there complacently twiddling your thumbs.
I find this quite extraordinary, Richard. I've served the interests of this family
The
now
Southwold family. You serve the Southwold interest nobly, but I am not a Southwold, and there is a division.
Nonsense.
A division between me and Marjorie, and between me and my children. In your mind, when it came to the pinch, you'd put their interests before mine.
Well, quite clearly, the events of the past year have affected your reasoning, Richard. There's no question.
All right, I am not disputing it. I am simply asking you to involve yourself with my dilemma and not stand aloof from it. Advise and help me. That's all.
Well, of course, there is one way of raising some more capital for you. Might have crossed your mind.
What's that?
Well, if James and his wife are going to live in this house now and in the future, you could sell him the lease. It's yours, and stay on.
As my son's lodger?
Well, I'm quite sure neither of you would see it in that light.
Yes, Geoffrey, but even so...
It would seem to be the immediate solution to your problem.
I take a very serious view of this, Rose. This young man brought shame and disgrace on this house it took a long time to recover from. I'd sooner have 40 thieves in here than see him back.
Hey, what'd he do? What'd he do? Be quiet, Edward.
Tell me something serious.
I always thought you was a forgiving man, Mr. Hudson.
I am, Rose, but there are some things that can never be excused. Thank you, Edward.
Might I say a word?
No, you may not.
Don't worry, Alfred. You won't be allowed a fair hearing. Not in this house.
Rose?
Well, you don't think he could be here for a reason. He might be in trouble through no fault of his own. You just kick him out in a freezing cold, no money, no place to go, all 'cause we've judged him on his past. Well, a man can change, can't he? And one thing we've always done is look after our own. Remember Sarah? Captain James and Miss Lizzie found her starving in Whitechapel, and they brought her back here. Well, if they can show some decent Christian humanity, wow, he can't win.
All right, Rose, that's quite enough from you.
Well, at least let him tell his story.
I think he should be allowed to, Mr. Hudson.
Very well, Alfred, go on.
Go on, tell him.
Tell him what, Rose?
All about falling in love and that.
Falling in love? Him? Who with?
With the niece of my employer who came to stay with him.
From Herefordshire.
What was her name?
Arabella.
Arabella? That's the cow's name, Herefordshire cow.
You're gonna laugh at me, Rose?
No, they're not going to laugh at you. Go on, Alfred.
What was she like?
Be quiet, Ruby. What was she like, Alfred?
She was like Rose. Kind and pretty.
I don't think this is getting us anywhere. Anyway, it's nearly dinner time. Edward, go and lay the table. You too, Ruby. Look sharp now.
Go on, Alfred. To tell them all about writing poetry and hiding it in the flower vases.
Flower vase?
Yes. And then her uncle, his Lithuanian employer, found it and, mad with fury, flung Alfred out because he'd promised her mother that he would find her a husband, but not poor Alfred. And that's why Alfred's here. Isn't it, Alfred?
Well, it's a very fine story, Rose, but how do we know it's true?
Because... Oh, don't you believe in nothing?
You believe too much, Rose, more than is good for you.
All right, then. Look at this. She gave him this. And when she placed it round his throat, she made him swear that he would never take it off, not as long as he lived.
He could have stolen that from anywhere.
That's not true, Mr. Hudson. There may have been many things, but I've never been a thief.
Look, I'm not putting up with any more of this. Has it never occurred to you, Rose, there could be another more sinister side to this whole business? That he has been gulling you with his cock and bull love story simply in order to get his foot inside this house again?
Well, why should he want to do that, Mr. Hudson?
I'll tell you why, Mrs. Bridges, and anyone else who cares to listen. Because there are certain people who want to do mischief to this great country. And his former employer, the celebrated Baron von Rimmer, was proved to be one of them.
Oh, my God. A spy, you mean?
That is correct, Mrs. Bridges, a foreign spy. And now he has the effrontery to send his servant, a creature of loathsome, perverted habits, to seek re-employment.
You got foreigners on the brain, Mr. Hudson, and you always had. I can remember when you thought the old German army'd landed and they was all working on the south coast as waiters and hairdressers. You said one day they'd rise up and slaughter us in our beds. Oh, they haven't, have they? Still here, aren't we?
Now, Rose, you've gone too far.
Well, I may not be clever, but at least I know real people. And I don't just have to go on what I read in books and newspapers neither. And don't you worry, because no one's going to harm you.
Perhaps Alfred, or Rose speaking for him, will kindly tell us the name of his former employer, this Lithuanian, so that we can verify his touching story.
No, I can't.
I thought not.
Why can't
can't you?
He doesn't exist.
He does. I can't, for Arabella's sake, I promised.
It would do no harm to tell us.
I promised I wouldn't tell anybody.
Oh, he's
Promised
got
faithfully.
to keep his promise, Mr.
I suggest your last employer was a German living in this country.
No, he wasn't.
Wasn't?
Isn't a German. I told you he's a Lithuanian gentleman. It's not even a German name. It's a bad off.
It's a bed off.
No.
Leave him alone!
Well, what would you do with him, Mrs. Bridges?
Well, he's been a bad boy, but let him stay to dinner. That can't do no harm. And then we'll think about it, shall we?
Very well. For dinner only. But after that, out.
Thank you, Mrs. Bridges. You always were very considerate towards me. Very understanding.
Oh, was I, Alfred? I suppose I was.
Come on, Alfred.
Miss Rose, I'm coming.
Rose? Come here a minute.
Yes, Mrs. Bridges.
You're very fond of him, aren't you?
Fond?
Well, you took a big risk hiding him like that. You must be fond of him.
Yes, I suppose I am, really.
I don't believe all this, what Mr. Hudson was saying about spies. Alfred hasn't got the brain.
Neither is Mr. Hudson saying things like that.
Now, Rose.
I'm sorry.
The point is, what's going to become of him? He can't stay here. And if we push him out after dinner, where's he going to?
Well, that's what I've been wondering.
I was wondering about this gentleman, this Mr. Zabadov, this Lithuanian employer of his. I wonder who his cook is.
Oh, was you thinking you'd talk to him, get him to put a good word in for Alfred to get his job back?
Well, if it's only a misunderstanding over love, I mean, those things quickly pass over. And what with the young lady being safely away in Herefordshire?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, well, Alfred gave me quite a start.
Sorry, Mrs. Bridges.
Talk about it later, Rose.
I couldn't help overhearing just now, Mrs. Bridges, what you were saying. It's very kind of you to think of me like that. That's what I'd expect from you, but you see, Mr. Zabadov, my employer, that's not his real name.
Not his real name?
No, I made it up to keep Mr. Hudson off the scent, keep my promise to Arabella.
Oh. Well, what is his real name? You can tell me.
It's no use my going back there. You see, he's going to live abroad.
Oh, you mean he's going back to Lithuania? And you wouldn't consider going with him?
I can't speak the lingo. Besides, my heart belongs to England.
I'm not a cold-hearted man, Richard, and no one knows your position better than I do. But I must remind you that only a few months back, at Lady Southwold's suggestion, I offered you a lucrative directorship.
Yes, I know you did, Geoffrey, but there were strings attached to that. I was not prepared to surrender my political independence, nor am I now.
Let me talk to you, not just as a financial advisor, but as an older friend. Now, we'll both admit that you've always had a difficult relationship with the Southwolds on many fronts. You feel that while they assisted you in getting started in politics, they also held you back, prevented you on occasion from being your own master. But now it could be argued, however callous it may sound, that Lady Marjorie's death has released you from their patronage, and you might find that you can move forward with greater freedom in any field that you choose. But for this, you need capital. Very well, take my advice. Pocket your pride and sell at least to young James.
Beg pardon, sir. Sir Geoffrey, might I have a word, sir? It's a matter of some urgency.
Yes, well, go on, Hudson.
Alfred is downstairs.
Alfred.
Our former footman, sir, you may remember.
Oh, yes, yes.
He stayed here last night, sir. I regret to say without my knowledge. He claims to have left his last employer after a misfortunate love affair.
Well, what's the harm in that? Give him some food and send him on his way.
Just a moment, Richard. Didn't you tell me there was something strange about this Alfred?
Oh, yes, he had some trouble with the German baron, but that's all forgotten.
You can't be too careful.
If I may say so, sir, I agree with Sir Geoffrey. It's the security of the house that I'm worried about.
Did he tell you the name of his last employer?
Might I be of some assistance, Mr. Hudson?
That won't be necessary, Alfred, thank you.
You go and sit by the fire. You're supposed to be our guest.
Too kind.
I thought you were Rose's man friend last night. You see, I came down from my room with a bellyache and I heard you two. I thought you were her secret lover.
Who are you?
Me? I'm Edward.
He's your successor.
Edward the successor.
I thought you were her cavalry officer paramour.
Did you now?
Yeah. But then she asked me for my old coat, so I knew it wasn't for a tramp. I thought you might have been a deserter.
Deserter? Getzer? Desert me post? I'm hand skirts of a lady. I would be such a blackguard.
Yeah. He's good at the imitations, isn't he? Let go.
It's all right, Edward. He always was a bit funny.
It's a cold day, isn't it, Mr. Hudson?
It is, Mrs. Bridges.
Cold day for tramping about the streets.
I expect Rose to defend Alfred. It's a romantic idea for a young girl to harbour a lame dog, but I must say I'm surprised at you, Mrs. Bridges.
I'm not doing it for no romantic reason, Mr. Hudson. You ought to know me better than that. But surely we can think up something better than turning the poor boy out.
So you think I'm mistaken in my suspicions as well? Well, all I can say is, Mrs. Bridges, I've been reading the newspapers closely during the last few weeks, and there's things in the air that I find very disquieting.
What sort of things?
Of a political nature. Between this country and Germany.
What's that got to do with Alfred?
Sorry, Mr. Hudson, shall I go?
No, Edward, you help with the dinner. I'll go.
Hudson. Is Alfred still downstairs?
Yes, sir. He's about to have his dinner.
See that he doesn't leave the house. You're quite right to inform us about him.
I've been in touch with my chief clerk. He was able to ascertain that there was a gentleman of Lithuanian origin called Zabardov living in Brighton.
When we telephoned Mr. Zabardov's residence, the call was answered by a police inspector.
Police?
Mr. Zabardov was found lying on the floor of his bedroom, butchered to death with a meat axe.
He'd been dead for 2 or 3 days. The police are on their way here now.
Shall I, Rose?
I ain't stopping you.
Yeah, go on, Alfred. We could do some entertainment down here. Go on.
Ich bin den Dr. Eisenbart. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, bum. Höre die Leute nach meinen Art. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, bum. Kann machen, dass die Blinden gehen. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, 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 bum. Und dass die Lahmen wiedersehen. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, bum. Ich bin den Dr. Eisenbart. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, bum. Höre die Leute nach meinen Art. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, bum. Kann machen, dass die Blinden gehen. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, 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 bum. Und dass die Lahmen wiedersehen. Widdy, widdy, wid, bum, bum, bum.
Edward, Ruby.
That's only a bit of fun, Mr. Hudson.
Fun?
What's what they sing in German kitchens?
Let it be confined to German kitchens. I'll not have that kind of thing sung down here. Come on.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
My goodness, what a caterwauling. Here, Ruby, move that dish.
Come on, Alfred. You can come and sit here by me.
Oh. Oh.
For what we are about to receive, may the Lord make us truly thankful.
Amen.
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 What did they give you to eat in Germany, Alfred?
Frankfurters, sauerkraut, black soldier's bread called Kommetsbraten, brown bread pudding. Delicious, I'll cook you some.
Oh, no, thank you.
You really cook?
Yeah, very good, know all the tricks.
I can see they don't teach manners in German kitchens.
Well, he's hungry. He hasn't eaten for 3 days.
From love, I suppose?
I've heard tell that you have snail soup in Germany.
You do, but not your common garden snails. Big, white, juicy ones, fattened on flour. Delicious.
Ooh. Oh.
If you really can cook, Mr. Hudson, perhaps you could talk to your purser friend down at the docks. Give him a job on a boat going somewhere. As ship's cook.
Yeah, Honolulu.
Maybe a German boat. Then he could cook his bread pudding.
Well, it would give him a chance, Mr. Hudson.
I don't think there's a great call for bread pudding on the kind of boats my purser friend is associated with.
Well, you could put a word in with someone else.
Yeah, go on, Mr. Hudson.
We'll have to see, won't we?
Well, it's worth thinking about anyway. As long as you don't get seasick.
Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't do.
Detective Inspector Bowles, sir, and Sergeant Maybury.
Oh, yes. This is my solicitor, Sir Geoffrey Dillon.
Will you be requiring me, sir?
Yes, please stay, Hudson. This is a dreadful business, Inspector.
Well, we're not certain of anything yet, sir. Beyond the fact that Alfred Harris was seen in his master's company on the evening of the 5th. That's 3 days ago and has been missing since. Till now, sir.
Anything taken? Money? Valuables?
It seems not, sir. That's why we don't think it was an outside job. Harris is still on the premises.
Yes, Inspector, downstairs.
How many people with him?
Well, there's Mrs. Bridges, the cook, Rose, the parlourmaid, Edward, and Ruby.
You think he might be dangerous? Well, you better go and collect him.
Before we do that, sir, I wonder, can you throw any light on Harris's personal life? The sexual nature of it, sir? The Lithuanian, you see, was an unmarried man of some age. Effeminate, if you know what I mean, sir.
Will Mr. Hudson be coming back for his pudding?
Oh, better keep it off for him, Ruby. It's one of his favourites.
I wonder where he's got to. It's been a long time. Hey, there's a cupboard up there.
Did you like it, Alfred?
What's that, Mrs. Bridges?
My jam roly-poly pudding. Not as good as your bread pudding, I don't suppose.
Here, Alfred, there's a cupboard up there.
Alfred! What's all the rumpus about?
What's that? Any of you?
Oh, Alfred!
Don't come near Rose.
What should we do, sir?
Miss Hudson!
Well, first get rid of the staff. I'll talk to the inspector.
Right, sir. Come on, Mrs. Bridges, back in here.
Hudson, what's going on?
Nothing for you to worry about. Quickly now, quickly.
Go on.
Come on, Rose. You as well. Rose!
I'm staying.
All right, Hudson. Inspector, this young fool means business. We can't take any risks.
We'll just have to try and talk him out of it. Who's the girl?
Rose, the housemaid.
He's just scared, sir. He won't do any harm, I'm sure of it.
I'm not. He's killed once.
Killed?
You let me talk to him.
No, careful, sir.
It's all right, Alfred. Won't come any closer. You know who I am?
Mr. Bellamy, sir.
Now, just listen to me. I don't know what you've done, but whatever it is, you're not making things any easier for yourself. Do you understand? You must let Edward go now and hand me that knife. I'll get you all the assistance you need.
Sorry, I can't do that, sir.
Oh, why not?
They think I'm guilty.
They don't think anything of the kind.
They do. With respect, sir, but they don't know what happened, really.
But then you can tell them. They want to hear your side of things.
And listen to me. Not me. Scum of the earth, crawling on its belly. Don't, sir!
Alfred, what are you going to do? You can't stay here forever, and they'll wait.
I want to talk to Rose alone.
Alfred, please.
Alone. Door shut. Private.
Please let me talk to him, sir. I'm sure he'll listen to me.
Rose, I can't take the responsibility of leaving you in here.
You must let me handle this now, sir. Make no attempt to disarm him. Just talk, all right? We'll be just outside.
I thought we weren't taking any risks.
And if he trusts her, she has the best chance. The rest of us frighten him.
No nearer.
Alfred, please. What are they saying? You didn't kill anybody. Tell them you didn't do it.
Can't.
Why?
Evidence. The bedroom carpet. It's blood.
Blood? Whose blood?
Lithuanian. Baron's friend. The Baron's vile disgust. People I lived with. Like here. Decent people always here. I wanted to be decent. Wouldn't let me. Always else. Pushing me to grovel. It was like a serpent. Like the lowest of the beasts. Just wanted to get away back to this life. Anything. Wouldn't let me. Just laughed at me. Stop, and he wouldn't. I took a cleaver. He was sleeping. The sweetly smelling bedroom. So old, disgusting. As he slept. Finished it.
No niece. No Arabella.
Pure. Free. Decent man. Important. New life. Ship's going. Honolulu. Just need pass them out there. The dogs. A chance. Tell him, Rose.
God.
You must help me.
I can't.
You promised.
Didn't promise. Like to do something, but...
Get out!
No, Alfred.
Oh, filthy scum of a whore, like all weary scum! I don't need you! Adam's rib! Delilah! Jezebel! See how mine enemies are gathered about me! Where the corpse is, so shall you find the eagle!
For distance, in silence. He
The
might
man
be
of
led
the
into a
city
false sense of
shall
security.
stone
He's got the boy with
stone
him. He won't harm him. He's too valuable to us.
I think it might be worth trying, sir.
Very well.
Sergeant.
Folly in Israel! Committing in the house of my father! We wrestle not with the evils of this world. Don't need.
Do you want me to speak to him, sir?
No, Hudson, we're going to leave him alone for a while, see how he reacts to it.
Don't need them to it. Don't need the assistance of Hans!
Let go of my neck. Please let go. You're hurting.
We'll make our own way.
Oh, don't kill me.
What you say?
I never harmed you.
I never harmed you. I never intended to harm you. It's just for them. Protection. We'll go to the docks together.
I don't want to go.
What do you say?
Yeah, all right, I'll go.
You will?
Yeah, I'll go to the docks.
What's going on out there? It's all gone quiet.
Perhaps we should go, eh?
No. It's a trick. They're waiting. We'll wait.
Please let go of my neck.
You won't do anything silly?
Oh, I promise.
We're the same. You and me. Footman. France.
There, Rose, don't. Let me go and talk to him, sir. I always used to understand Alfred.
Help me! Help me, Alfred! And then he let the knife drop and I grabbed it quick.
Well done, Edward, my boy. Well
Sorry
done.
we weren't able to save you all this trouble.
You did everything you could, Inspector.
Goodbye, sir.
Thank you. Goodbye.
What exactly happened?
I'm not quite sure, but it seems your ruse was successful. Now, will you come upstairs and have some whiskey, or would you prefer some milk?
I think a small whiskey would be in order.
There. Now, don't fret, my girl, don't fret. He always was a bad lot, that Alfred.
Edward, quiet.
Whatever for, Mr. Hudson?
They've hanged him.
It was no more than he deserved, Rose. May his soul rest in peace.
He was ill, Mr. Hudson. It wasn't his fault what he done, it was other people made him. You can't hang a man what's not right in the head.
You can, and you must, Rose. No matter why, he took away a human life and must pay with his own. That is the law of civilized man. And God's law, too, if you read your Bible.